take a couple of questions from anybody.
Sure. Just get your response. What do you say to Republicans who continue to say President Biden undid some of these tough measures and moved to executive action and can confront the challenges again with executive action?
You know, the current system was designed to deal with 400,000 people a year. 400,000 people a year. Executive actions have been done in the past, and this problem has continued to grow over the years. The only way you're going to resolve this issue of the border crisis is going to be to have more border agents, more immigration judges, more detention beds, and speed up the asylum process. That's the only way you're going to do it. That requires law by the United States Congress. Now, if the president wants to do more executive orders, that's fine, but that's not going to solve the problem. To solve this problem, you need to have action by the United States Congress. And this group has come together to say, listen, we see this bipartisan bill in the Senate. It doesn't do everything we want, but it will solve this problem. So let's do it. Let's move forward. So I think that one of the jobs of this group is going to be to continue to highlight the fact that we have a solution on the table. Will actually make the border better than it currently is. And the only reason it's not happening is for political purposes. I mean, there's nobody here, this is a very educated group of the members of the media, very educated group of members of Congress. Everybody knows that this was sabotaged by President Trump calling up Johnson and calling up the senators and saying, don't do this. Everybody knows that. That should be reported on all the time, because the only way to change things in politics is political pressure. And people want this solved. And it will only be solved if Republicans and Democrats come together with this bipartisan compromise.
Yeah, I'll say this. First of all, I support the Senate bill. That's number one. But if that other bill would come in, it's bipartisan, and I would support it. I want to speak for them, but I want to push the Senate border bill because it's a lot more comprehensive. It's a lot more comprehensive. Senator Langford, Murphy, they all work together to put something together along with the administration. I've seen it. It is one of the strongest border security bills that we have. But if the other one would come up, it was on the floor, I would support it. I don't want to speak for the rest of the folks.
And there's some proposals being made with Fitzpatrick's bill that currently doesn't include humanitarian aid, and they're talking about including that now. That would make a big difference in getting more support for that.
And last question, Mika.
I'll say this, and look, we do know that in both political parties there are some folks that don't support the whole thing. I mean, we got that in the Republican caucus for sure, and yes, we might have some that might feel it goes a little bit. But I think somewhere in the middle, you got about 80% of Democrats and Republicans that want to get done. And I think if they would put the Senate bill on the floor, we would get it passed.
You're never going to get 100% unity. And the problem with this town right now is that the far right and the far left are controlling the debate all the time. Most people are somewhere in the middle, say, listen, like most human beings in the United States of America, that say, can't you just work together and get something done? Which is very doable. It was demonstrated that it's doable until an outside voice came in and sabotaged the whole thing. So we need to constantly bring that up any way we can to the public, because by putting political pressure on the people blocking this bill is the only way we're going to get movement. Right now, there's a reasonable compromise.
Yeah. Listen, I'll say it. I've been willing to criticize my party on this and will be going forward. But I think what my colleagues have said is something I agree with, which is that there is a middle here, both of Democrats and Republicans, that can actually solve this. And yes, folks on the fringes might have some issues with it. But every compromise bill that we come up with here, that Republicans and Democrats roll up their sleeves and actually try to get something done, usually results in good policy that helps the American people. And to me, that's where this is going to have to land. Immigration reform for us is going to have to be bipartisan. Our border security approach is going to have to be bipartisan. And when we don't act at the federal level, it's communities like ours in Texas that are the ones that are impacted the most. And so I don't have time to wait around for some kind of idealized plan that's never going to become law. We have to get something done now. And so my message to folks in my party is let's get this done, as it is to folks in the other party. But let's be very clear. This was taken down by cynical politics, folks saying that openly saying they didn't want to solve this problem because they want to be able to run on it in November. The American people should know that. Texans should know that if you're concerned about securing the border, it didn't happen right now because folks are saying, listen, I don't want to have this, I don't want to have a solution here, I want to have the problem. And to me, that's unacceptable. And that's why I think we're here to highlight that. It's not too late, though. We can reverse course, and we can still do the right thing.
What Collin just said, nobody disputes that. Nobody's coming out and saying, no, that's not what happened. Right. Everybody knows that's what's happened. The more you report on that, the more we hold the other side accountable for the fact that they played such a cynical political move here, the more offensive that will be to the public. It should be reported regularly. If President Trump or the Republicans want to come back to us and say, no, that's not what really happened here, then say that. But nobody's disputed that. There was a plan in place. President Trump came in and said, don't do it. I want to run on the problem. I don't want to give a victory to Biden. Nobody disputes that. That should be reported on every night because that's the most cynical, disgusting type of politics you could possibly have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, everyone.